In many of my challenge videos, both released and coming soon, I have made an assortment of fun bases, most of them themed around the challenges that they were a part of. Regardless, I have a lot of knowledge in the topic of base building within Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together, and in today's video, you're gonna learn everything you could possibly need to know about how to build a base. Now, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for creating a base in Don't Starve. That's part of the fun of survival sandbox games. Each base has unique flares that only you and you alone can give it. But today, my goal is to teach you not only all of the basics you need to know for both Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together, but also every well-known prefab that you can easily slide into your base design. And yes, you heard me right, I'm shoehorning Don't Starve single player into this video because a lot of you seem to like me doing that for my fun scale video. But we'll go ahead and start with Don't Starve Together, because I know that's probably what you clicked on this video for. And don't worry, Don't Starve Together is the longest one. So sit back, throw on your milkmaid hat, and let's talk base. Before we begin the video though, it's time to start with some settings that may help you out. In Don't Starve single player, unfortunately there are no vanilla settings that can help you out when it comes to base building, but in Don't Starve Together, Clay has actually implemented this new setting right here, which when enabled will allow you to snap buildings and placeable objects to a grid. This is very convenient and will help you a ton if you're playing Don't Starve Together. Alright, so this is the first of many small little additions by future me. I didn't realize this, but I actually prefer half wall segments over full wall. It kind of helps you build more compactly than full wall does. Oh, whatever, it's just my opinion anyway. Okay, back to the video. Now that we're in game, let's look at where you should create yourself a little slice of heaven within the constant. Let's first gloss over some good locations to actually build a base. In Don't Starve Together, you'll want to primarily avoid basing in the caves because of greater depth worms, and post-rift earthquakes, which can be base killers. Yes, you can make pillars, but do you really want to deal with constant upkeep? And pillars don't stop greater depth worms anyways. You'll also want to steer clear of mosaic and rocky land biomes because of meteors, Antlion's Desert with the exception of the Oasis because of summer sandstorms, and finally, anywhere near cave entrances because of the constant basilisks. Oh, yeah, and Pearl's Island because of a certain spoiler quest. Other than that, everywhere else on the map is usually fair game. Now that we've talked about location, let's talk about the basics. So this guide will assume that you've already explored most of the map and done your early game stuff. You know, hammering down those pig houses, collecting your charcoals, preparing yourself the mighty pile. Now you're gonna wanna settle down. There are a few primary prefabs you are going to want when settling down. A kitchen, a crafting station, and a storage area. Yeah, that's pretty much all you will need to have a functional long-term base. Once you learn these three things, you will thrive within the constant. Let's go ahead and talk about each prefab in depth though. A super basic and well-known kitchen setup looks exactly like this, with either a ice box or a salt box in the center, and a ring of crockpots for fast and efficient cooking. The reason we put the crockpots close to the food storage is because you can actually open both the crockpot and the food storage at the same time, leading to very quick and efficient cooking. Thanks to the quality of life update we got in Don't Starve Together not too long ago, crockpots can now be placed after your fridges. This is unfortunately not true in Don't Starve single player, however, so my starving brothers over there, make sure to place your crockpots in a ring and then place your icebox. What I absolutely love about the kitchen setup is that it is completely customizable. Do you want more crockpots? Well, you can do that. Want it to be compact and have less crockpots? Easy. Or you can get funky with it if you really wanted to. Just be aware that if you place your crockpots too far from your food storage, you won't be able to access it. As long as it's close enough to access your food storage, you're all good to customize this prefab to your heart's content. And don't forget to decorate your kitchen, that's very important. This right here is my personal design. It's simple, but I included another icebox just outside of the kitchen to store finished meals. This way, all of the middle storages are used for ingredients, and cooked food goes all the way over there with easy access. I feel as if 6 crockpots are a sweet spot for mass-producing food, but not taking up too much space. And if you want, you can replace one of the ice boxes for a salt box if you tend to accrue a lot of raw ingredients. Be aware that to cluster all of the storage together, you will have to turn off structure alignment. Yeah, I know, I just praised this addition to the game and then told you to turn it off, but it's okay because after you place your ice boxes and or salt boxes, you can turn it back on to finish the crock pots. Be careful not to put crockpots on the far side of your storage. In this case, the salt box cannot reach them, but with just these 6, you'll have no problem. I'll admit, this setup may have too much raw ingredient storage, but any of you guys who have made it to late game Don't Starve will know that you have a surplus of raw ingredients anyway. Next up, we have the crafting station, and it looks like this. The design philosophy of this prefab is that it's where all of your crafting stations will go, close enough together that you can craft between them without having to travel too far. Now, I'll admit this prefab will slowly make itself obsolete, as over time you will learn more recipes and be able to make them on the go instead of at a crafting station. But it will slowly regain its use as you progress through the game. When you progress to using non-prototypable structures, like the Shadowcraft plinth, the Potter's wheel, or the Cartographer's desk, or even the Bright Shade smithy, all of these are things that will remain useful throughout the entire game. Though you can never go wrong with always making sure that you have an alchemy engine and shadow manipulator at base at all times, just in case, you know, people are forgetful, myself included. Because this prefab is super customizable to your needs, I won't go over the resource requirements or anything like that, since then I would have to cover every single crafting station. Just remember to have this prefab close to your light source for late night crafting, and you're golden. Oh yeah, and decorate it. It'll impress your friends. There will be a little more on decoration later though. And don't forget, certain structures will provide you with the previous level's crafts. For example, the alchemy engine will give you access to all of the science machine crafts, and the shadow manipulator will give you access to all the prestidigitator crafts. So once you get the second tier, feel free to destroy the first tiers to save on some building room and get a refund on some of the items. Hey there, future me again. Something I failed to mention is that because you can craft directly from chests, it may be worth it to have a chest directly next to your crafting stations, primarily stuff you can't prototype from like the Bright Smithy or Shadow Plinth. It's not as important for stuff like the alchemy engine since you can just prototype stuff? Yeah. But yeah, back to the video. And finally, we have the storage area. Now this is the heart of your base, and it's where you'll basically store everything you loot on your journeys throughout the constant. For lazy players like myself, your storage area could look like this. For somewhat organized players, it could look like this. And for you neat freaks who I aspire to be one day, it may even look like this. There's no one size fits all for this prefab, but there's one thing it always should be: the center. Yes, you want your storage to be the center of your base. It's where all of your supplies are, and you want it to be reachable by pretty much all of your prefabs. This prefab can also be upgraded immensely once you get access to Woebot, to automatically sort items for you and whatnot. Now again, I don't have a preference for a storage area myself, so there won't be a personal example like the kitchen, and it's another pretty self-explanatory thing, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on. I just had to do my job of making you guys aware of it. And there you have it, the 3 essential prefabs. Once you make these, a central fire pit, and maybe a few flingamatics for summer or red hound waves, and of course a few lightning rods, then you're golden. You can survive pretty much everything that the game will throw at you. But you didn't need me to tell you about those 3 well-known prefabs, did you? No, you came here to build a base and thrive, not just survive. Well, my friend, let's talk about my myriad of what I like to call secondary prefabs. These are add-ons to your modular little base that aren't required and are highly customizable, and may improve your quality of life dramatically. So sit back, grab yourself some leafy meatloaf, because this is gonna be a long list. And even this list won't include everything, because building a base is just so customizable. First, we're gonna start with an add-on for your kitchen. I like to call this the food processor, and it will usually consist of a campfire, or better, a scaled furnace for roasting food, a bird cage to produce those sweet eggs, and some drying racks to produce some long-lasting jerky. Again, most, if not all of these secondary prefabs can be customized to your heart's content, but my personal favorite way to build it is like this. A salt box for raw ingredients that are ready to be processed, and an ice box for overflow, or ingredients that won't go in the salt box. I also will put a chest near the jerky to store bundled jerky, but if you don't want to fight Bee Queen or Klaus to get the blueprints, absolutely no worries. You can just throw that jerky into the icebox and it will still take an incredibly long time to spoil. I'm not sure if this video will come out before or after the new drying rack buff goes live, but that's another thing to look forward to. You should connect this prefab to your kitchen for maximum efficiency, especially because those eggs from your birdcage are great for pierogi. Next up, let's stay on the topic of food and talk about the farm. Okay, so man, I'm sorry if all these jumps are jarring, but I completely messed up the farm segment, so instead of spouting misinformation on the internet, I decided to go back and redo it. You're welcome. Anyways, let's get rid of this yucky filter and talk about the farm. Farms are completely optional in this game, and you really don't need them whatsoever unless you happen to be playing as Wirt. Then you might, because you can't just live off of 1 monster meat and 3 filler for your entire Don't Starve career. Or if you're playing Worley looking to make his potent and powerful dishes or spices. If you do want to make a farm, which you're totally valid for, here's some key tricks. First, you'll need to make a grocery list. You'll need a digamajig, a hoe, a shovel for debris, and a watering can, and obviously some seeds. When it comes to location, you'll want to place your farm close to a pond, but not too close, otherwise the big bad frogs will ruin your crop collecting days frequently. I really do wish Clay would just bring sprinklers over from Don't Starve Hamlet so we could automate the watering process, but alas, for now we need to do that peasant work by hand. So make the trip easy on yourself. When it comes to my personal preferred farming layout, this is how I like to do it. A 4x4 plot for giant maxing, a large plot for junk seeds that I don't care about but want to turn into food, and then finally a large quarantined plot for forget-me-lot farming. Forget-me-lots are kinda slept on in Don't Starve Together because they can actually be used to turn into tea, which is a really powerful sanity food and is very helpful for boss fights with huge negative aura. But the honest truth, this is way too much, even for a full server of 6 players. And you can honestly shape your farm however you like, and I promise you'll get value from it no matter what. Hell, even if your farm was a 1x1 area, if you're playing solo, you could live off of that alone. Farming is pretty OP in Don't Starve. It's obviously less meta than meatball maxing, but come on. Don't you think your little constant character deserves some actual nutrients? Speaking of nutrients, if you want to learn how to do the giant crop ratio things, you can either look up on the wiki, they have plenty of that, or you can go watch my farming challenge video. I did a lot of that there. I'm not going to cover it in this video because this isn't a farming guide. Anyways, now that I've fixed this segment and hopefully made it a lot more accurate, let's go back to the actual video. Again, I'm sorry for the jarring cuts, I just wanted to make this guide as good as possible. Feel free to yell at me in the comments if I did actually do something wrong in this guide though. I can handle it, and feedback is actually really appreciated, even if it's negative. Up the bedroom. Now, it's no secret that sleep is a very underutilized mechanic in Don't Starve Together, but it can be surprisingly effective. Especially if you were playing as Wormwood, as it's one of the only ways for our plant boy to heal. Now, let's get the truth out of the way first. Yes, sleeping in Don't Starve Together is nowhere near as powerful as it is in Don't Starve, but having a barracks for you and your friends can come with some benefits. Namely, if you have a food surplus from, say, your farm, then this is a pretty inexpensive way to turn hunger into health and sanity. All it costs is time, which is infinite in Don't Starve Together. It's not like that stressful ass game Stardew Valley where you have to absolutely min-max your entire career or your grandfather will make fun of you. No, take your time. Who cares if you beat Ancient Guardian by day 400? Your character deserves a nap. This next prefab is purely decorational, but it can still have its niche uses. The Beefalo Pen. Now, Clay has sort of neglected Beefalo in their latest updates. I mean, seriously, good luck fighting some of the newer bosses on a Beefalo, but they still provide huge benefits to the weaker characters like Maxwell and Windy, and of course, their speed and all. You want to give them a nice home, right? You're living lavishly, so why not give your loyal beef the same treatment? It's only right. Make sure you also give them that good salt too, none of that niter crap. Now, before we move on to the general tips and tricks, let's talk about the copious amounts of quote-unquote extra farms that you should create near your base if you want to live long-term. Like grass, twigs, berries, all that jazz. For grass, well, it's as simple as planting a bunch of grass together like so. Be wary that if your world is a grassy gecko world though, that these will eventually sprout into the little buggers. Just place fences all around your grass to prevent them from running off and dying to tall birds like they seem to love to do for some reason. Or re-roll your world before you get too invested because grassy geckos suck. When it comes to twigs, now you might disagree with me here, but I actually prefer twiggy trees. Hear me out, they just look nicer on walkways like this for decoration, and they passively drop twigs on the ground. Thankfully, you generally don't have to pick between twiggy trees and saplings, because even if your world is a sapling world, twiggy trees will spawn with world regrowth, meaning that you can slowly work your way up to profiting off of those twig stocks. Otherwise, just use saplings like this. Well, not exactly like this, because you can't actually place them like this in a regular game. I'm just doing this to show off a bunch of saplings. In a regular game, they would look a lot more neat, but maybe I should have done that. For the video, the video about base making that I'm currently making, whatever, let's move on. If you really need a sapling planting guide, leave a comment down below. As for berries, Well, I don't see why you would need to farm berries unless you're playing as Wirt or something, but if you absolutely must, first build some walls like this, then go to your kitchen, put in 1 corn, 1 honey, and 2 twigs in a crock pot, then take the resulting powder cake and throw it in a pen. Then seal it off, and this will make it so that any gobblers that manage to spawn will get lured by the powder cakes, and then they can be easily dealt with before they drain your entire farm. Now, this type of farm has been around for ages, and it's actually got a fun little name, the Incredible Inedible Farm. And guess what? It doesn't just work for gobblers. If you'll want a pig farm in the future, which you will want if you don't have a Wigford or Woody on your server, then you can just replace those berry bushes with pig houses. It's very simple and will allow you to corral pigmen for simple ware pigification. And finally, it would be wise to plop down a bee farm or two a couple of screens away from your base. You don't want to live with bees because during spring they'll become a pain, but honey is a great source of lots of sanity restoring foods, like forget-me-lot tea, jelly salad, and of course the signature taffy. Bee farms can be improved by catching some butterflies and planting them near the bees, as more flowers will mean more honey, which means more gooder. And that does it for prefabs. There's probably a few more modular style builds that you could add onto your base, like say a fishing zone or some other cool prefabs that you could come up with on your own, but I feel as if this covers most of it. Don't go anywhere yet though, because we are not done. Oh buddy, I'm sorry, we're just getting started, because now it's time for some general building tips and tricks specific to Don't Starve Together. Single player will have its time soon, I promise. So first off, there's one structure that you are going to want set all around your base, especially if you like to branch out: the lightning rod. This will stop your base from being smitten during a thunderstorm. This isn't Minecraft. Thunderstorms will burn down your entire house. It's practically guaranteed if you don't have a lightning rod. And lightning rods are relatively cheap, so it's not a bad idea to make multiple of these if you're scared. Flingamatics can also do the job, but prevention is better than protection in this case. Though, unless you live under a fig tree or are in the oasis, I would still suggest setting up some flingos for summer. The watering can may be OP, but you are human and humans make mistakes. Another big elephant in the room that we have to talk about is walls. Despite what you may believe, walls will not protect you. Most walls in this game, save for the very expensive and or the ugly ones, or the ones not yet released at the time of making this video, can be broken with relative ease by most mobs. Hey, so yeah, those were released, by the way, like a week ago. So yeah, false information. There are electrical fences and they are very overpowered, but in a good way, because we need walls. You should always use walls either decorationally or, well, I don't really know otherwise. You can use them to abuse pathing sometimes, though I find this to be very dodgy. I'm very excited for the electric fence to be added though, which will allow us to have actual barriers, as overpowered as that may be for certain events. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you want to build the best base possible, you're gonna have to fight some bosses. Here's a list of bosses that you will want to set out to defeat if you want all of the base related items. Antlion for the Turf Razor Helm and the Lazy Deserter, but make sure that you first fish in the Oasis and give her the crown to get your Cult of the Lamb blueprints. Then you want to go for Dragonfly for the Scaled Furnace, which nullifies winter and works amazingly in the food processing brick of your base. Then you want to go for Nightmare Werepig, less for the Dreadstone because, let's be real, I wouldn't spend Dreadstone on Dreadstone walls, but more to give you the option to fight Crappy Werepig, who will drop the item needed to repair Wobot, and at the time of making this video, the blueprint for electric fences, which do act as functional indestructible barriers. Finally, the last two bosses who will help you build your dream base are Toadstool and Celestial Champion. Toadstool can drop a blueprint for the Mush Lamp, which when used in conjunction with a Celestial Shard, can provide you with infinite light. Or you can use that same shard to make something known as the Elastispacer, which turns one of your chests into an infinite black hole of storage space, which is pretty epic. Now, I know, this list of bosses looks very daunting, but hey, if you're in this world for the long haul, it's really not that bad. And you don't have to defeat these bosses, they just provide you with stuff that helps out significantly. And look, I'll be honest, every one of these bosses, except for, say, Toadstool and Dragonfly, are actually pretty fun. I would suggest you try to learn how to fight them, because I had a blast. even solo. But yeah, no, Toadstool and Dragonfly are both miserable. Now let's talk about turf. Unless you want to have a grass carpet for the rest of your life, which no shame in that, you're gonna want to upgrade your flooring game. Now, Don't Starve Together has a lot of flooring types for you to pick and choose from, and because this will mostly come down to personal preference, I can't exactly tell you which one to use. I can share this little bit of knowledge with you though. The Terra Firma Tamper is a pretty forgettable crafting structure that can be obtained by completing the Archives puzzle. It will allow you to craft natural turf. Now, I know, why would you want to use this when you can just go out and collect natural turf using a turf razor helm or a pitchfork? Well, crafting turf actually gives you 4 turf for the price of 1. Needless to say, if your goal is mass producing natural turf, then get this bad boy. It will help you out a lot. And don't forget your turf razor helm. It will make replacing turf so much easier. And finally, remember to get creative with your decorations and think outside of the box. Certain ship structures can be placed on land to act as decorations. Pillars can be placed above ground. And items can be dropped in decorative ways. Don't Starve Together may seem like it's lacking on decorative objects, but sometimes you just have to get creative. Like placing 2 sails like this to create an illusion of an archway, or placing anchors on your docks to add some volume in between wooden posts. If there's one thing to remember, it's that your base is an extension of your personality. If you just want to do the bare minimum, that's totally fine. If you like going over the top and decorating absolutely everything, that's totally fine as well. It's your game, your rules. I mean, the sun's gonna blow up in 6 billion years anyway, so you may as well make the koalefin zoo that you wanted to make. Nothing matters. On a more serious note, I do have to give a very big honorable shout out to all of the events. Now, events are limited time things within Don't Starve Together, but you can enable them if you wish to in any world at any time. So for example, is it the middle of July but you want to get very festive? Well, you can enable the Winter's Feast. Or enable the Hollowed Nights event if you want the carving pumpkin stuff. Really, you can do anything with these. I didn't include them in this video because I want this to be more of a general guide, but if you want the access to all of these cool things, then all you gotta do is press a button and they're there. I, for one, am a huge fan of the pumpkin carving stuff, as well as the snowman building. It's really, really cool. And it fits the theme with all year round, honestly. Why can't we just build snowmen? I don't get it. All right, we got a little derailed there. But before we end Don't Starve Together segment and I lose like 80 to 90% of you because, you know, Don't Starve Together is the main game, let's go over some special examples. This will include things like docks, fig trees, and other special things that don't really fall under any category, like, you know, Lunar Island's lunacy stuff or whatever. Building bases with docks is pretty cool, as you can see with my hollow shell of an example build here, but to unlock building with docks, you'll need to first set sail for Moon Cay, the special monkey island, and then feed the queen a banana to get the blueprint. Then you're good to go. The advantages of building on a dock base are as numerous as its disadvantages. You have access to the fig trees, which provide this cool Hamlet jungle effect, and provide you and your structures with numerous resistance, and even free food in the form of figs. And you have easy access to the water for fishing, boating, and or really anything you could want that is ocean related. A cool trick to placing fig trees so that you can surround them with dock like this, is to actually grow the tree first, and then build the dock around it. Now, it's definitely a time investment, as these trees take forever to grow, but it's worth it, as that's one of the few upsides of this base location and build type. The biggest downside, however, is that you cannot place turf on dock tiles, which is more than a cosmetic downside, as you cannot plant stuff on docks. This means all of your farms that are natural will have to be located on the mainland of wherever you placed your docks. It's not world ending, but it can absolutely be annoying. And look, you truly didn't expect me to just not cover boat bases in this video, did you? Well, here you go. Boat basing is a bit controversial. The problem with it is that all of your stuff can be deleted in an instant with just one mistake, and you have to deal with one of the more annoying sanity monsters, which is Wavy Jones, all while having far less workable space. So what's the upside? Well, it can move. And much like the platform saddles of Ark Survival, this is pretty epic. Your goal should obviously be to upgrade to an archaic boat eventually for the free storage and extra health, but a standard boat works just as well for any wannabe seaman. When building your boat base, you'll mainly want to focus on food and light related stuff. And if you're feeling particularly crafty, a wheel and a sail for that automatic movement. Be careful not to place structures that block player movement near the edge of your boat, as this can make wavy zones impossible to deal with. Instead, always ensure that you can do a full unimpeded loop around your boat before you set sail. Seriously, wavy zones can do some damage to your boat. And unfortunately, not every boat-related structure is useful. I genuinely have never found a use for rudders, and anchors are practically useless outside of Malbatross fights because Don't Starve Together's oceans lack currents like the real world does. So you don't really need an anchor, you can just kind of stop your boat. And cannons, besides the novelty of engaging in naval warfare with pirate monkeys, are ultimately too costly and useless to care about. Other than that though, most other boat structures can fill their own specific niche in a relatively useful manner, like autopilots and all that other fun stuff. I'm not gonna go too in depth with them though, because they're not really necessary. And of course, finally, there's two special character exceptions I would like to go over. First, the obvious one. If you play as Wirt, you're gonna want to base in the swamp. Wirt gets buffs on swamp turf, and save for swampifying the entire world, you're probably just gonna want to take the easy route and claim the swamp. And finally, if you're a Wickerbottom player, or you're Maxwell with Wickerbottom's books, you may want to live on Lunar Island. I know, it sounds pretty crazy, but that's exactly what you were trying to avoid. Basing on Lunar Island with Wickerbottom will allow you to read her books infinitely with no downside. And while all the other characters will have to deal with that annoying lunacy filter, you can comfortably sit at a total of 0 for your entire playthrough. Look at you, old lady Wickerbottom, and your craziness. Yeah, but seriously, if you're not playing as Wickerbottom, I wouldn't suggest living on this island. It's atrocious when you're fully lunacied up, or whatever you call it. I guess enlightened would be the right term. I don't know what the proper term for it is though, but it is gross, especially during winter. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I know it seems nice not having to deal with sanity monsters, but it's gross and yucky, and it's... Did I say gross? Because I will say gross again. Yep, just like my farming segment, I felt the need to completely redo my decoration segment. Because unlike Don't Starve single player, decoration is actually something you can go pretty wild with in Don't Starve Together. And originally, I only had a few tips and tricks, but then suddenly, I got a burst of creativity and realized you can absolutely make some banger bases in this game. So first up, I want to talk about skins and mods. I will not be including skins and mods in this segment, and that's because I want all of my decorational tips to apply to all of you. No matter if you're broke, don't spend every waking hour spool farming, or are playing on consoles. I will say there are some pretty snazzy skins though, but that's all I'm gonna say. If you have skins, use them. If you want skins, buy them. I'm not stopping you. Clay's a pretty cool company, so it's money well spent if you do. But if you can't for whatever reason, then here's some design themes I would like to share with you. Before I bring you over to Live Me though, remember that decoration is completely up to you, and once you cover your basics, you can get as crazy as you want with it. Alright, now let me give you a quick presentation of some of my personal favorite themed designs that make use of prefabs and decorational content. Feel free to copy my designs one-to-one or use them as inspiration. And if you want to see me build these bases in real time with live commentary, it will be on my extras channel with timestamps for each base. So if you see one you particularly like, head over there, subscribe, and watch that video. You can think of that extras video as more of a build-along video rather than the guide that this video is. What am I doing, bro? I'm yapping way too much. On with the actual footage. All right, time to do a little bit of a wave. Where's the wave? There it is. Wave time. We walk in, we've got the crafting area right here, the cooking area right here. Look at this, beautiful cooking area, absolutely. Stupendous. We've mixed and matched our cooking area with our food processing brick. We've got a fling-o-matic just in case summer hits. We've got sails with the lightning conductors on them. We have tents, we have siesta lean-tos, and then finally we have our main feature, which is the carnival dock. So up here, you could walk up, check out the carnival. It's nice and pretty. It is nice and pretty. I think if there is one thing I wanted to add, though, I would probably add another sail or two. I think we're going to actually do that real quick to give us some more volume. I love volume. Volume's good. And then we'll go ahead and deck illuminate them because that looks so nice. There we go. So now we've got our midsummer carnival all ready. We have a fishing boat. We have drying racks for all the fish that we catch. We have just so much going on here. This base is so beautiful. The beach does extend out quite a bit. So this whole area is nice and beached up. If you're wondering how this turf got so flat, well, it is the turf next to the lunar island. So we can just sail right over to the lunar island. And this is naturally occurring turf. So I didn't mess with the turf at all. Of course, I didn't make this in a legit survival world because this would take quite a while. You'd have to wait till you get antlion for the brick road, and you'd have to wait till you get all the other stuff. This whole base right here is survivable. Now, if you wanted to, you could even throw a farm down over here or something. Like, you could absolutely do whatever you want with this base. You can throw a farm down over here. You can do everything you want, but this is just the main feature is the boardwalk. The Midsummer Boardwalk. I'm such an idiot. I almost forgot to show off what it looks like at night. So here we go. This is the boardwalk at night, and oh my goodness, dude. Like, look at this. Is this not pretty? So we've got campfires here. We've got some more boardwalk areas here. You can always fuel these up. Like, this place looks very pretty at night. And then we have our entrance lamps here, so you can fuel these up as well if you feel like it. And look at that. This place looks beautiful at night. One more big aerial view for you guys, and there you go. This is the boardwalk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gothic base. So we still have our cooking slash food processing brick area here. We still have our storage slash crafting area. Those will never change in between all builds. The only thing that does change is the decorative area. So here is basically a stage base. We've got this nice luxurious carpet. We've got an audience area. We've got some lamps for them so they don't die from Charlie. We have here some mush lights with celestial shards in them. You don't need 3 of them. You can rock with 1. It's fine. I just put 3 in here because I was testing it. We have night lights. We have all kinds of decorative stuff around the stage. You can perform on the stage. Those hounds will still spawn, but they're super easy to kill anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. We have some pillars here. This is what I meant when I said you can build with pillars on the surface. They look pretty nice on the surface as well, even though they obviously kind of break off on the top there. It's not that big of a deal. We have our backstage here for our actors. They can come in here, change their wardrobes, chill out for a minute. And yeah, this right here is the stage base. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like at night because I think it looks pretty nice at night. So in 3, 2, 1, here is the stage at night. Now I do need to go ahead and refuel these table lamps real quick. They see, yeah, so the audience can see. But the main stage is for the main light. Now, back in the store, like the actual base, because this is just the decorative part of the base. The actual base is over there. There is a fire pit you can use for, you know, living in the actual base. This is just the purely decorative area, the nice Gothic area. We can even turn on these night lights for some extra light. And then the back room also has their own lamps that they can use. And then this is what it looks like from a bird's eye view. Perfect time on that daylight. This is the bird's eye view from this side. You've got I love this place. It's really cool. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Cozy Core Cottage, as I like to call it. So first off, we have these phenomenal, I love these things so much, by the way. Use sails and these deck illuminators for decoration because it's just so nice. I'm gonna fuel these up as we walk up to our Cozy Core Cottage. Now, I wanna make one thing clear. This build is very wood expensive. So if you wanna build this, play as Woody or Maxwell or swap to them and swap back to your main character. I don't care. But these walls are expensive. These are tier 3 wooden walls and we have them all around and they will not protect you, but they're for decoration. So that's fine. It's all good. If you really want to make these walls work, then you can just put electrical fences all around once you get to that stage of the game. You have this beautiful walkway that connects to the main road, so you can take off, use the main road, do whatever you want. I've planted some flowers around here with some butterflies. We've got trees all around. And then in here, we do have this big spacious floor area that you can use for both your crafting area, your storage area. I didn't really decorate it as much because I wanted to focus on the kitchen, which we have nice and marbled up here, and the dining room, where we have some table vases with light bulbs and some table lamps. We even have a gramophone over here and an anchor, just as a little bit of clutter to make it look more lived in. And we even have a beefalo grooming station, but it's not for beefalo, it's just as a mirror so you can look at yourself while you're eating. We also have a bird cage, which doesn't have a bird in it because I was too lazy to spawn one in. So this is the Cozy Core Cottage. If you wanted to, say, put a farm out back too, you could. I put this a little too close to the ocean, so I would probably end up putting like a fishing zone out here. But if you lived, say, more central, you could absolutely put like a farm back here. Honestly, a farm right here would look really good. You can show off your crops with produce scales, show off your fish with the fish scale-o-matics, all that fun jazz. I like it. Let me show you guys what it looks like at night with our fire going so you guys can see all of the light. We walk in through our mystical little walkway, and we enter the cozy core cottage. This one fire pit lights up the whole place. You will want some ice fling-o-matics. I forgot to put one down. You absolutely will want an ice fling-o-matic if you are living here, because firehounds will burn this place to the ground and it will suck so badly. Or just turn wildfires and hound waves off if you really care that much. But honestly, just 2 ice fling-o-matics on each side would cover you for the most part. It'll make things tolerable. Look at that. That is so pretty, dude. That is such a pretty little house. I love this. It's so cozy. Very wood heavy. It will cost you lots of wood. You'll need the glass cutter stone thing for the island here too. And it does look a little weird when you have it facing this way, but it looks a little better when you face it like this. All right, I've decided that this next tip won't exactly be another base because I feel like I've gone through 3 good examples. The rest is up to you to be creative and do what you want to with. This is just going to be a tip for you guys who want to live on Lunar Island for, you know, the free sanity. If you want to live on Lunar Island but don't want to deal with all of this stupid enlightenment crap, you can just get your dock kits from the Moon K Monkey Queen and build docks out. And you'll notice if you build docks out from the celestial island here towards the mainland, you will actually lose the lunacy filter here. So what you do is you build docks out like this, and now you can base on Lunar Island without getting the crazy lunacy effect. Just pop on if you need some free sanity, but then you can pop off if you want to get rid of that stupid filter. There's also mods to get rid of the filter, but I'm not covering mods in this video. None of the designs you saw there were meta or anything, just designs that I found fun and wanted to share. I guess I should have made it clear in the beginning of this video that this wasn't a meta guide or anything, just a fun guide. Because let's be real, if you are a pro player, you don't even need a base. Okay, well, it's almost time for me to end the Don't Starve Together segment. So let's see, we covered the essentials, decorational stuff, yeah. I think that about covers everything. If you're a Don't Starve single player fan, then stay tuned through this outro to see that segment. Oh my god, this video is just such a ship of Theseus. I swear I've redone so many segments by now. Hey, wait, before you go, you should like and subscribe. Whatever. And there you have it. That's almost everything you need to know about base building in Don't Starve Together, with a few example locations. But in reality, the world is your oyster, and you don't have to follow my recommendations whatsoever. Do you want a base in the caves? Well, do it then. You'll be safe during summer. Just remember that when the rifts open, you're gonna want to get a pillar ASAP, and be careful of depth worm waves. That varglet down there is, let's just say, a little more destructive. But with a little prep work and, you know, paying attention, you can absolutely thrive down in the caves. I just recommend not doing it because it does take more pressure than, you know, say, living above ground. And summer's really not all that bad in Don't Starve Together, in my opinion, thanks to the watering can. You know, that thing that can both cool down your thermal stone to -1,000 and put out every fire within a 2-mile radius. It's, seriously, dude, the watering can is all you'll ever need. But that's besides the point. Again, you want to live wherever you want, do it. It's fun. You do you, man. That's what makes this game great. Now it's time for the part I've been excited about. Let's do a mini segment on Don't Starve Vanilla and Reign of Giants before we move on to the more interesting worlds of Shipwrecked and Hamlet. The reason I say mini segment is because much of what I said in the Don't Starve Together segment remains true here, except for the teensy-weensy fact of, like, yeah, 70% of the content is just not there. What you're looking at is essentially a peak Don't Starve Vanilla base, I'm afraid. That's not to say that it's terrible, you know, base building in the world of Reign of Giants or Vanilla. It's just that you're working with far less. On the bright side, caves are now base friendly because rifts and giant depth worms don't exist. Do build there to your heart's content and don't worry about it. Just remember that you won't be able to see the day count and you may lose track of time. Also, remember that the watering can does not exist in Don't Starve Vanilla or Reign of Giants, and fires will spread instantly. So if you want to make a summer-proof base, you will need a fling-o-matic or multiple fling-o-matics. You can also opt to have a summer cave base, but unlike Don't Starve Together, you can and will overheat down there. it's rough. Oh yeah, also turf sucks here, as you're only able to craft 1 turf per, which makes it take like 10 years. So yeah, unfortunately that's really all I have to say for this DLC and lack thereof as well. I would say more, but the basics of what I previously said apply here. Just remember that there's going to be a lot less stuff for you to work with. But you'll still want your 3 basics: the storage, the cooking, and of course, the crafting. Everything else, completely optional. Alright guys, final jump here. Wow, almost done with the video, aren't you? Well, since you made it this far and statistically you're probably not subscribed already, you should totally do that, and leave a like on this video as well. I wanted to touch up on Reign of Giants and Vanilla since I feel like I was a little too quick here. Yes, Don't Starve Together has like 70% more decorational and functional base building content, but I want to emphasize that you really can make a pretty base in Reign of Giants. Here's my base from a recent vanilla playthrough, and honestly, I think it looks pretty great. When it comes down to it though, you mostly just want to do the exact same stuff that I said in the Don't Starve Together segment, and just remember that certain structures won't be available. The basics are all there though. Okay, I'll leave you guys to the actual video for the rest of it now. Bye-bye, I guess. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to our DLC segments, because as you can probably tell, I've been dying to talk about them. I love Shipwrecked so much, it's unbelievable. The thing is, Shipwrecked actually rewards a more nomadic or multi-base lifestyle. You'll probably want a home island eventually though, and today I'm going to help you pick one. Essentially, you'll want to look for the biggest island that you can, while also being near critical structures. Spend your first mild season exploring, and if you can get your hands on a snakeskin hat, then spend your hurricane season exploring as well, until you've mapped out most of your world. Then, you'll want to look for 3 key features: the slot machine, the Yarktopus, and the volcano. Try to look for an island in the middle of all 3 of these landmarks, as they are the only immovable but incredibly useful places in the world of Shipwrecked. Now, when it comes to what you base near, or what biomes you want to base in, you'll want to avoid basing near Krishers. They seem very nice with their free light, but once the winds pick up, you'll realize why basing near them was a horrible idea. So stay as far away as you can from magma biomes. Instead of going over every little structure added in Shipwrecked, let me just tell you my preferred, stress-free way to survive a year in Don't Starve Shipwrecked, base-wise, and then you can go from there. For mild season, any old base will do. Hurricane season is pretty much the same, but replace that fire pit with a chimenea and add a lightning rod and maybe a palm leaf hut. But you're going to want major upgrades by the time monsoon season hits. There's 2 paths you can take to survive monsoon season. Either move out into the ocean, or waterproof your entire base. Waterproofing your base is an incredible undertaking, and would probably take you way longer than your first 2 seasons to actually do, as it requires replacing all natural turf with man-made turf, and surrounding your base with sandbags. Unless you have the entire island turfed up with man-made turf, water will find its way in. Be aware that this won't stop venomous mosquitoes from harassing you unless your entire island is waterproofed and turfed up. Or the more simple option, well, there's 2 simpler options, just go live out in the ocean during monsoon season. The Home Sea Home update added countless new ocean base items, sea labs, sea chimeneas, the sea yard to keep your boat in tip-top shape, and the only thing missing is ice boxes and crock pots. But as we all know, Shipwrecked is very generous with food, so you can just throw on a snakeskin hat or dumbrella and eat some jellies if you're getting hungry. And the second option is to just go live in the volcano. I know it sounds kind of weird and scary to live in a volcano, but the volcano is immune to flooding, and you can terraform it into something a lot more habitable if you so wish. A volcano base is also very good for dry season because it'll allow you to easily appease the volcano, so, you know, there's a big bonus there as well. Maybe you should just live in the volcano, honestly. I'm kind of convincing myself here. Speaking of dry season, let's go ahead and talk about dry season. Much like monsoon season, you'll have 2 paths for this one: appeasement, and what I like to call, vacation islanding. Appeasement is the most straightforward, but what you'll want to do is grab some eggs from your local caged bird, or from the trees, and go ahead and head to the volcano. Once you're there, you'll feed the altar until it closes, then you'll rinse and repeat every time it rumbles at you, and you'll basically just have summer but more survivable. If you're a madman like me though, and want to farm copious amounts of stone, flint, and obsidian, then you can use what I like to call vacation island mode, which is everything except for a vacation. Find a beachy spot on your home island, or if your island is fully developed, then find a secondary island, and simply ride out the eruptions away from base. Contrary to popular belief, these eruptions really aren't that bad, and wearing a head slot armor and a body slot will more than protect you from up to around 4 entire hits. Yeah, you can pretty much AFK the eruptions and be fine if you have the armor to do so. Well, watch out for fire damage, of course, that will still hurt pretty bad. To wrap things up, like I said, Don't Starve Shipwrecked prefers a more nomadic lifestyle. But now that you know the basics to keeping your base operational throughout the entire year, go wild with the decorations. Shipwrecked adds a whole lot of fun decorational and functional items and plants to play around with. Do be aware though that if you want to decorate with walls, grass and wooden walls will be damaged by the strong winds of hurricane season, so you'll have to build with stone or limestone for permanent walls. Moving on to Hamlet. Ah, Hamlet. Okay, so you can just get a house. No, seriously, you can either purchase a house in Swinesbury or obtain the key to the city from Queen Malfalfa and build a house anywhere. Yes, this includes Shipwrecked and Reign of Giants. The caves, the volcano, the ruins, anywhere. A house is essentially your own little slice of heaven. You can expand it for oinks, decorate it for oinks, build pretty much everything within it except for farms, and with how hostile the outside world of Hamlet is, you're gonna wanna live in a house. Trust me. Sorry Hamlet's segment is so short, but like, do you expect me not to state the obvious here? It's literally a house. A safe interior where nothing of yours can be destroyed. And you can make the inside as big as your heart's content. It's a shame that these don't exist in Don't Starve Together, but yeah, I also kind of understand why they don't exist in Don't Starve Together. To recap, if you have Hamlet enabled, just build houses in all 3 of your worlds. There's no reason not to. If for some reason your house does get destroyed, you can just use a hammer to rebuild it, and magically all of your stuff will be completely fine inside. Here's a few of my room layout designs if you want some inspiration for your Hamlet-enabled playthroughs. And there you have it, the ultimate base building guide for Don't Starve, all of its DLCs, and of course, Don't Starve Together. Sorry if the single player segments were shorter, it's because, well, frankly, bases are far more simple in single player, especially with the introduction of Hamlet houses, which are very self-explanatory. But did you learn something new today? Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. Do you have your own epic building tip? Then feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I know there were a few more things that I could have covered, like mods, but as a previous console user, I want to make sure that all of my guides are accessible to all who play this lovely game, so I generally will keep mods out of them. Anyways, I'm off to take a long romantic walk to the Oink Factory. I'm gonna see you in the next one, everyone. Polarlotus out.